This video is sponsored by the Design Mechanism, the makers of Mythras. Mythras is a registered trademark of the Design Mechanism Inc., used with permission. All rights reserved. Right, yes, everybody is on now. I'm just making sure that nobody's moved around. No, you haven't, which is good. I'm altered my dice roll a bit, so that might need adjusting later on. Hello and welcome to, it's Saturday, so it's not White Death, it's the fantasy setting tonight. So we're back in the Odes campaign on the continent of Odes, and I think the party left off last time in the city of Lindowe, which is the main city in the Odes, on the Odes continent. So the party finished a adventure, or a series of adventure, last week, or 2 weeks ago. Is it 2 weeks ago?
Yes, because we didn't do anything last week, did
we? So 2 weeks ago they finished a session. So what we're going to do is that they're going to spend any experience rolls that they've got to start off today's session, and then hopefully they're going to take on a new job or a new series of adventures, and so you'll get it right from the beginning, which will be exciting. But before then, I need to check their levels, so I'm going to allow them an opportunity to say who they are and who they will be playing tonight. And we always start off with Chugawugga.
Hi guys, I'm Chugawugga. The character I play is called Gulliver. Just Gulliver. He doesn't have a second name. He is an orphan, not originally from this continent. He travelled across on an errand for his old master, Master Healy, where he was looking to improve his sorcery skills and taking the information back across with him. He has joined an order on this continent because to be a sorcerer, you have to be in one of the orders or be a renegade. His particular order is that of the Kraken, the Blue Order, specializing in spells involving around communication, transportation, and teleportation. He has various spells, the powerful sorcery spells, which he relies on, but also some lesser spells. He refers to them as cantrips, and they're based on the folk magic school in Mythras. Recently injured, took a very nasty hit to his leg while single-handedly fighting the necromancer by himself. And whilst others were off attacking one henchman, I think, but he did his part, and so that sort of like causes him to get around a bit more slower than the others, but it doesn't let him put him down. As a sorcerer, he has the ability to shape his spells. He has a skill called shaping. He allows him to expend points on it and change in various aspects of his spell casting, including range, magnitude, not intensity, but also number of monsters or characters or targets that as his spells will affect. And I shall pass on to Longshanks EPG because Medivac, who I was going to pass on to, wasn't at his keyboard. So Longshanks, who are you and who do you play?
Hi guys, I'm Longshank CPG, and tonight, as always, I play the character Hengist. He is a noble from across the sea, arriving on a quest to find his sister, who he almost found, and then things happened, and we got separated again, as we got caught up in other events. He is tall, blonde. He's the oldest one in the party. He's about 30 years old. Fights with sword and shield, and it clad out in heavy armor that is made out of iron and embossed in sort of like a green tint, with his family's crest of a rearing white horse blazoned on his shield and on his breastplate. And I will pass it on to Mr. Pickles.
I am Mr. Pickles, and I play Bartleby Fumus, which is our team's theist, but he was once a bard and is sort of still trying to bring that dream back. He's responsible for the healing, knowledge of monsters, and performing miracles through his goddess. Goddess he serves is Amriel of one of the twin moons. She is the light moon goddess, and through her, Bartleby is able to do things such as heal rather serious injuries. Not major wounds yet, but he can heal pretty bad injuries. He can also see things that other people might not be able to see, or lend his spiritual energy, his faith, as armor or physical strength for other people to accomplish tasks that Bartleby cannot do himself. He's very easily bullied, and that's where I'll pass it on to Medivac.
Why, thank you. He never bullied. Hello, everybody. I'm Medivac, and I play Hazra Khan. He's a nomad. He's from the north of Odess. He's come down because he's lost, but he's misplaced his tribe. He went out to hunt some bandits, and when he got back to his tribal camp where they were, they had gone and moved on. And then he met this lovely group where he's been with ever since. He uses a scimitar and a short spear. He wears light armor, which is a quilted, as people do say, pajamas, but they're not pajamas. It's a quilted, lovely three-piece section of armor, which has saved him on many occasions. He is the main tracker, the survivalist as such. He knows how to live out in the wilderness, and that is where he's at home. In a city, he's very uncomfortable. He's trying to get over it, but he just can't understand why people stay in these big stone structures and don't move around. He's very athletic. He's in mid-20s. And with that, because I'm hearing my own voice, I'm going to pass on to him, Wills.
Cool, thank you very much. Let me just click everybody back onto that one. Yeah, so first things first, thank you for updating your character objectives. Really interesting. Oh, hang on, I've just realised we got the music on in the background, haven't we?
Yes.
That's what I can hear. I was thinking, where's that music coming from?
I'm hearing sounds.
Yeah, thank you very much for completing your character objectives. I see that Hengist is going to eventually leave you all. Once he's found his city, he's off back to where him and Gulliver came from. He's off to regain his lines. Bartleby. I like the bit about the candle maker. Yeah, we can certainly have a craft of candle making. That would be really
it's a dream,
to decrease the number of gangs and thugs in Lindowe. I wonder why.
That's a personal one.
I was surprised how quickly Bartleby's forgotten about helping out Briar.
I have an explanation for that once we get to experience.
Hazra is going to carry on going with the Brotherhood, that's it, and find his tribe. That will be an interesting one. I was under the impression that your tribe had disappeared, but
it's one of those long-term, the littlest hobo things, where he will always have a look for the clue of where his tribe may be or where they've gone. If he stumbles across them at some point in the future, brilliant, just to make sure his mother's fine.
I knew you were going to do that. And Gulliver picking up about Flagnag from way back when he first came to. So you and Hengist are sort of like going backwards and forwards between your previous lands, etc., to connect the two continents of magic, which is interesting. Okay then, so before we go any further, let's get experience rolls out of the way. So for people who are watching the game for the first time or several times, at the end of every adventure or series of adventures, the characters acquire experience rolls, and these they can use to increase their skills, learn new skills, learn new magic spells, etc., etc. There's not a level like system in Mythras. You can really focus in on what you want to develop and how you want your character to develop. So some people develop their characters very much in a almost like a specialization, while others develop across a series of skills, almost like a jack of all trades. So there, and the system allows for both, and both are totally acceptable. So Gulliver, are you planning on using any of your experience rolls?
Yeah, so Gulliver has 4 experience rolls. I'm going to use 2 of those, both of which I am going to be putting into the invocation skill. Currently 92, currently with a 14 in intelligence.
Okay then, so you'll roll a 1d100, you add your intelligence to it, and you need to get, what was it, 92?
Yeah.
Your skill. So so that's 73, so that's less than 92, which means that it will increase by 1%, so that would go up to 93.
And the second roll is again in the same thing.
Okay.
Boom.
Nice. So 1d4 plus 1.
Oh, that's 1d4 plus 13. That would be nice. 1d4 plus 1 incoming. That's a 2.
So that's 95.
Thank you very much. That's me done.
Yeah, a 95. Brilliant. So Mr. Bartleby, what's your plan? Sorry, Gulliver, have you got 2? Are you saving 2 experience rolls for
Yes.
later?
So,
Yeah.
I have another spell in mind, which is normally for a sorcery spell. It's 5.
5.
So
Yeah, 5 experience points.
Got 4 last time, so maybe I might be getting. If I can get another 3 of this next one, then I'll have enough for my spell that I have.
Cool. Right, Mr. Bartleby, what's your plans?
I'm spending all 4 experience rolls, and in the Roll20 chat, this is the plan I'm doing. The last 3 have a bit of a story. After having that harsh disconnect with Amriel last adventure, and especially the coldness of a response with me asking about Bria, Bartleby is believing that he needs to make a definitive stand, and so he's going to make a vow of chastity to Amriel with that passion, folk magic, and exhort.
And all the beautiful rich women in Lindowe, you hear their sigh of disappointment as Bartleby becomes unattainable. Okay then, so first one is your passion. So what is your passion currently?
The healing is the first one, but it doesn't really matter.
Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't see that. So what's your healing first?
Healing is 45.
45. So roll a 1d100, add on your intelligence, and we need
14.
And we need 45 or less. 45 or more. Sorry, 46 are due. So that's 1d4 plus 1.
4 points of healing.
Nice. So that's 49 now. Yeah.
Yes. And then my passion is 58.
58. So we need to get above 58. Yes, 1d4 plus 100. Obviously, Amriel is totally in agreement with what you're doing here.
Oh, very much in agreement.
Yes, as another Gulliver's looking a little bit grumpy on the.
Don't know about these rolls.
I think Bartleby's just typing in brackets 3 brackets plus 1.
All I'm going to say is, do you remember the 555 crit on Thursday?
Yeah. Folk magic. What's your
Folk magic is 64.
64.
Here's my roll.
Yeah.
Oh my.
1d4 plus 1.
2.
Oh.
Doesn't always work out perfectly.
Doesn't always work. And finally, your exhort.
Put us off the scent now.
Yeah. So exhort is how you cast your spells. You persuade your deity to give you power.
And that's a 66.
66. Ooh. So that'll go up to 67. Okay.
Awesome. And I did get deceit as a fumble, so this would be the time to add that point in.
Yes, it certainly will be. Yes, that's
Cool.
absolutely true. Okay, and then across to Hengist.
So Hengist is going to be spending both his experience rolls. He's going to be spending one on his endurance skill and then one on his main combat style.
Okay, so endurance first.
Yeah.
What's your endurance currently?
Currently, my endurance is 73.
73. Okay then. Yeah, that I do.
Yeah.
1d4 plus 1.
1d4 plus 1.
5 points onto your endurance, which would be nice.
Thank you very much.
And your current combat skill is at
My current combat skill is at 86.
86. So we need 86 or above.
Nope.
No. So that'll go up to 87.
Yeah,
Cool.
That's me done.
And that's you done. Darth says it's nice to see Longshanks back on the screen. That's in
Hi,
the
Darth.
chat.
That's
And
a matter of opinion.
and then Hasra.
Mine's straightforward. I'm doing 9, and mine's because I've got 5 saved over from last time and 4 this time. So I'm doing 2 combat, 2 tracked, 2 perception, 1 athletics, 1 first aid, 1 endurance. My intelligence is 12. So the first one is my combat.
Which is at
At the moment, it's 77.
77.
So I need a 1d100. That one. So that one and that one plus my 12. Go. Is 80. So that's
Yep.
yours
1d4 plus 1.
Oh, plus 1. Sorry, 3.
3 points to that. So
That's
that's
gonna be
now
80.
up to 80.
80.
So yeah, and then this is the second roll on that skill.
42. So that goes up by 1. So that's 80.
81. Okay.
My next one. Sorry, my next one was tracked, which is at 74.
74 then. 74 or above.
So that goes up by 1. So that's now 75.
So now 75 or above.
Oh, so that goes up by 1. So that's now 76.
Excellent.
So my perception is 72.
72 then.
Oh, that goes up by fantastic.
1d4 plus 1.
I'm just going to do this and add 1. Oh, so that's 4. So I
4.
got 76.
76.
And again. So that goes up by 1. So that's 77 now.
Yep.
So 1 athletics, which is 64.
Okay. So you need 64 or above.
Oh, yes.
Yep. 1d4 plus 1.
So that's going to be 5.
5.
So that's going to be
Yeah.
69. And my first aid is 48.
48. So this should be an easy one to get.
Yeah.
Yep. 1d4 plus 1.
And that's 3.
3.
So that's going to be 51. And last is my endurance, which is 76.
Ooh, 76 or
Oh,
above
no.
then.
Oh, no. So,
So
plus
that-
1, so
yeah.
77.
So
Lovely.
you can tell from watching that basically the higher their skills get, the harder it is to actually improve. But remember that even if they put a point into it, no matter what their role is, they always get 1% in that skill addition. So you never get a negative. And just to say that Bartleby fumbled a roll, so he automatically gets anybody who fumbles a roll, which means you score 99 or 100 on the dice roll. It's a fumble. Something negative happens, but at the same time you get a 1% increase as well. And I think that was when you decided to be deceitful to a group of thugs.
The thugs. Yeah.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
horrible swine's place.
Okay, so in the last adventure, if you remember, you were hired to actually not necessarily guard a shipment, but actually to keep an eye on it, and then to capture as many thugs as you could alive in order to get more money. And you got your silver pieces from last time, and I think you got an additional 100 silver piece for everybody that you actually kept alive. It was a really interesting adventure in the sense that you notice that not all the crates were taken off the boat. There was only certain types of crates taken off, and they were sort of like taken, and then there was a battle when Hengist got into a lot of trouble. I think was disarmed and was being ganged up, had spells chucked at him, and it was only when Bartleby and Gulliver actually joined him in the battle that things started to turn, and the thugs made a hasty surrender since they were overwhelmed and definitely overpowered. So you've literally sort of like finished that, and you've taken a couple of days out. A couple of days, maybe 3 or 4 days, until the next sort of like scenario takes place. Just out of interest, is there anything that anybody would like to do apart from their skill increases? So it's assumed that you've been studying for those or working out. Is there anything that any of you would like to pick up during these couple of days?
If possible, yes, please.
Yeah.
So Hengist would like to go down into sort of like the market and find someone selling weapons, because he wants to buy and finally get around to replacing his dagger that he can use in combat.
Yeah, if you want to buy anything, as long as you don't want to haggle, then just reduce them by the normal standard sheets.
Okay.
So, and that includes everybody. So if Bartleby, if you're restocking up with candles or anything like that, then just do it and then just take it, unless you want to haggle and barter, and in which case that'll need to be done in the actual session. Or of course, if you would like to pay somebody to make a better weapon for you, and in that instance, then what will happen is that the rolls of them creating the weapon has an opportunity to give it a plus percentage. So it is possible in Mythras. Magical items are very rare. However, it is possible to have something like a plus 20% sword. It's not magical, it's just that it's very well made. And in order to do that, you need to have a high crafting skill, or have somebody who has a high crafting skill. So you can imagine probably in the world of Odess, across the continent, there are certain people that will be the legendary sword blacksmith or spears or something like that, and they live. That is their trade. Of course, they cost a huge amount of money, and many are probably recluses now, and that'd be an adventure in itself to go and find them. Okay, anybody else like to do anything in the couple of days downtime before we move on? Sounds good.
If nobody else wants to do something, then Gulliver wants to try to, when he's got a bit of spare time with the order, he wants to one evening he wants to make a sketch the best he can of the tattoo image that we've seen several times on Jeremiah, and he wants to, when he next gets the opportunity, probably when he's studying a bit of his runology with Maud, the librarian, he wants to show it to her to see whether or not she's ever seen it before.
Yeah, I mean, you can show it to Maud. Maud recognizes it as a tattoo rather than a rune. It's not actually a rune of any description. She does comment that she quite likes it, and it would look good probably on her right thigh. She's old, but probably stretching the skin and then doing it will make it sort of like fold up afterwards. But she seems to be quite trendy Maud. She seems to be elderly, but definitely up for a laugh now and again.
Then he wants to ask whether or not she knows anybody else in the order that might be able to provide him with any more information on it.
Okay, so she says that she will actually look into that. Just roll your Order of the Kraken skill. Oh no, hang on. I tell you what. Roll your influence skill, but augment it with your Order of the Kraken.
Okay, so Order of the Kraken. I won't be adding 12 onto it yet.
Yeah.
Ooh, still fatigued, but I still missed it.
Yeah. Okay then. So you sort of like express it of her, and she sort of like says that she will look into it over the next few weeks or months, etc., whatever she remembers.
Would Gulliver have mentioned the tattoo he saw on the body to Hazra? Did we talk about this? Yeah, the dead chap who went to at the end of the adventure, and you saw the arm fell out and there's like a tattoo on his arm, the same as Jeremiah's.
Yeah.
Is that what you were just talking about, or was it a completely different rune?
No, I was talking about Jeremiah. Well, it was the second time we'd actually seen it.
Because I'm
the third time we had seen it.
Yeah, well, that's what's concerning Hazra as well. So I wonder if it might be worth him going to the Brotherhood and just asking them if they'd come across this. It's started to feel like a cult now, and see if they've ever come across this and if they've any effect on what's happened in the world.
Okay, so what's your Order of the Brotherhood skill?
I don't strictly have one, as a sense.
Right, so that might be so because currently you're just sort of like
I'm just a novice.
Yeah, so it might be worth thinking about actually gaining that passion, gaining that skill next time, and then you'll be able to start using it to inquire. At the moment, you know, you'll probably get to talk to the door person or something like that.
That's right.
And then that's it.
You're a giver, not a taker.
That's right.
Okay, so I'm going to. I presume that's it. Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'm going to move us over to the battle map. Just make sure that you've taken off your fatigue. All your fatigue will be replenished. You'll be fighting fit and healthy. If both spell points and devotion pools will be refreshed. Luck is refreshed as well for the session. And you find yourself, as you commonly do, on an evening, you're meeting up quite on a regular basis now in the Hairy Hobgoblin, and you've got your familiar table that is even put aside for you now. Basil Earless actually sort of like keeps it to one side, and you almost like feel that you have to go there every evening, mainly because otherwise he might be slightly disappointed, you know, especially since he's putting the table to one side for you. Hengist, you sort of like just have to slum it here. You're very much of the gentry now, and so this is a really sort of like low level pub or tavern for you. You'll probably be frequenting a lot more high-ended taverns, so this is definitely a come down to you. And the other thing that you notice is that people almost like, they're not sneering at you, but they almost like are thinking, you know, what are you, you know, you shouldn't be here. You're part of the gentry now. Why are you slumming it down with us? And even getting that feeling that this is our tavern. You know, go to your own tavern. And it's while you're sort of like tucking into your alcohol or water or wine or whatever you're drinking, that you are approached by a group of people that some of you will be aware of before. Not all of you, but some of you will. There's only a couple of them with you and today. And you, if you remember, way back near the beginning of the first, almost like possibly the first adventure that you ever did in Odes, when you had to protect the caravan. These you notice that coming into the room appear to be two of those people, those merchants that initially hired you. And if you remember, you had to take this lady's trainee son with you, who was a character who popped in for that adventure and stayed for a while and then left. And that was some time ago, and they sort of like come in and they sort of like see you sat at the table, and you notice that they give the odd nod to Basil, the barkeeper, the tavern keeper, as they come in. And they sort of like come over, and they don't pull up a chair or anything. They stand up, and Basil comes across, and he sort of like says to them, "I told you they will be in. They always come in here. My tavern's a favourite place for them to frequent. They really love it here." And the people say, "Yeah, thank you, Basil. Thank you. Yes, bring us something that is remotely drinkable." And yes, and they sort of like turn around and look at you.
As they sort of like talk, and Gulliver's there eating, and he sort of like looks up to see who's talking, and he sort of like does almost like a double take as he recognises them, and he'll go, "Oh, hello again. It's been ages since we've seen you. How's business?"
Business is somewhat flourishing, although the concern is that and that's the woman talking, and the guy sort of like elbows her and says, well, "It's because of that we are here. May we?" And
why don't you Hazra, shove down.
Certainly. Who are these people? I've not seen these people before. I'll move across for you, though, Gulliver.
Come, please, sit down and tell us how's your son, by the way?
Is Hazra moving down one?
Yes, Hazra's moving down. He will move down. Move down. Hello, my name is Hazra. I've not met you before.
They all sort of like. The woman sits at the front, and he sort of like says, she goes,
have you ordered something? The meat pie here is very good, but not as good as the cheese.
No, I don't eat here. Not after the slight rumour about the pie and the disappearing local feline population. And Basil approaches at that point. Says that there was now proved about that. Felines missing or not, there was definitely now proved about that. Oh no!
You didn't tell us you had a cat, Basil.
And he sort of like looks quite taken back, and the female merchant says, "Well, yes, that's probably part of it, because you don't have a cat anymore, Basil, don't you?" And it died. Very sad. Very, very, very sad. It was a sad moment. It hit me to the bottom of my heart. Drinks all round on the house, he says, which is something that you very rarely hear Basil even commenting on. And you notice that several of the other people in the tavern sort of like and sort of like, but he says, "No, not you lot, just this table." And they're sort of like unnoticeable, and the woman sort of like says, "Yeah, thank you. Yes, drinks," and she sort of like leans forward.
Help again to find one of your caravans.
She leans forward too and says, "Best to avoid anything that you can't discern the actual meat product, things like pies and stews and, well, anything else. You know, what goes in here is quite unpredictable. Yes. And Basil comes back and sort of like puts some pictures of ale and wine down on the table, and two what appears to be his best sort of like goblets. You haven't seen these before. They're sort of like made out of pewter, but quite nice looking. And he sort of like
Gulliver will say, "Hengist, perhaps you should get one of these next time."
Oh yes, yes, Master Hengist. Congratulations on your joining the fine people. I will definitely send an invite to my next soiree. You'll be well suited in there, although maybe not bring your armour. You know, although it might impress certain people of a lower standard, mainly the ladies of the gentry are more impressed by, shall we say, fine silk. And the guy butts in and says, "I can do you a fine deal if you need any fine silk, Master Hengist. Just give me a call and I'll come round." And she sort of like, "Yes, thank you." And she sort of like looks at her goblet and looks at him again and looks at it. And he goes, "Oh yes, sorry." And sort of like pours wine. She sort of like takes a sip out of it and almost like forcibly has to swallow as it hits the taste bud. And she sort of goes, "Yes, well," and she puts her hand on the base of the goblet and just pushes it slightly.
Like me, I don't like wine either.
Wine is not the issue.
Toilet.
I do not think that it is possible that this liquid is even masquerading as wine. Anyway, we can go somewhere else after we have concluded our business with you, because as previously mentioned, we have another job for you. It's quite a substantial job, but you know, the tales of your new member of the party and your exploits are starting to meet our ears, and we thought, if there's any trouble, there's a group of people we know who will be the best possible people to actually hire, because we do indeed wish to hire you for a job.
Tell us more.
Okay, right.
I don't think. Is anybody else doing anything at the moment? I've got my studies in the order, but well. What about you, Bartleby?
I have my duties that I do at the church and services I provide, but I'm more than happy to look into problems that may help Lindowe overall.
Oh yes, we've heard somewhat of your services that you provide, Master Bartleby. Yes.
Oh, he doesn't do that anymore. He's taken a vow.
What? I was talking to administering to the poor.
Oh.
A vow against administering to the poor.
My sorceress friends, they conjure strange ideas out of nowhere.
Strange indeed. Right, so are you all able to actually participate in our little job?
Yes, of course.
Always willing to help.
Right, okay then. Well, you are all quite well, you have a certain prowess that we would like to hire. Some of you have it a little bit more than others. She looks at Hengist and looks at you, Gulliver. But we know that you're all special in your own way, and you all have considerable power at your fingertips. And we have an issue that we would like your support with. You see, our merchant guild is controlled by a certain Guildmistress. She's, how can I say? And the guy says, just tell them how it is. Yes, thank you. I'm trying to be subtle. Something that's in your language is not even available in your language, it would seem. Anyway, every year the Guildmistress pays a visit to each of the guild sectors around Odess, and at the end of the week she will be coming here to Lindowe to actually frequent our humble town, and to see whether or not we are actually keeping things up to date. You know, are we making enough profit? Are we selling the right amount of goods? Are we keeping up the bold reputation of the guild? You probably get my meaning. Anyway, yes, we are somewhat concerned because, well, we don't want to let our faction down. And, well, although there's been nothing through the official channels, we heard this rumour that somebody tried to, how can I say it, dispose of the Guildmistress in a previous town, and we thought it would be absolutely horrendous for business if she actually, you know, was disposed of in our visit. I mean, the rumours would go for miles. We would probably not be able to have a single contract signed to a profitable standard for probably years to come. And
you would probably have to find a new guild mistress as well.
Oh, we always have a second in command, you know, a deputy guild mistress or master. So that's worked out a long time in advance. You know, that wouldn't be the problem, but the hit to our business could be something quite, well, horrific. And, you know, she dies at somebody else's guild, then so be it. I can't see anything wrong with that, but I certainly do not want her to die on our guild bit, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes perfect sense.
Right, so all we need you to do is to provide some, well, protection. Now, just to let you know, whenever she visits a town, then, or city, there is a certain, shall we say, schedule that she actually follows, and it is really important that you recognize this, because you will be required to offer protection in each of those points. So first things first, she will visit the guild house for an inspection. She will arrive and go straight into the guild house. Unfortunately, due to your status, you are not allowed in the guild house. So your job there will be to perform protection round the outside. You know, don't let any of certain, shall we say, undesirables in. Many wish to sort of like approach her and ask for favours. We have to be quite strict with this. You know, we will give you a list. I presume some of you can read a list of people who will be allowed into the guild house, but apart from that, nobody will be allowed in. It's quite an extensive guild house, but easy enough to sort of like patrol and keep things in hand. Now, that is probably the most easiest part of the job. However, things start to get a little bit more dicey after that. The second day, she is the Guildmistress always takes a tour of the hosting city in order to ensure that all lucrative possibilities for trade are being actually invested in. Now she will be in her carriage, which is carried by 4 people, but you will. Sometimes she does get out, sometimes she does not. She has been known to do a whole city without ever leaving, and giving a rather a negative report, although we are very grateful of all the reports that she gives us. It is only from her supreme knowledge and understanding of commerce that the guild itself flourishes to such high expectations. And finally, in order to celebrate the end of her visit, we have a party. Oh no, that came across wrong. We're celebrating that the visit has been a success. For that, you will be invited into the guild house, and you will be expected to provide protection while in there. Yes, of course, we are willing as ever to pay you for your services. 2 days should be enough. On the first day she will arrive, the second day she will go around the streets, and then the party on the night. Does that seem like something that you can actually cope with?
Oh, I would have said so. It all seems pretty straightforward. Guard the guild house, travel round with her when she's carried around, and then go to a party and protect her at a party.
Yes, as simple as falling off the proverbial log, I think.
Is she expecting to have people guarding her?
Well,
It can be funny sometimes when there's foreigners or strangers around them.
the guy sort of like coughs and says sometimes, and the woman sort of like gives him a glare. The guildmistress is not known to be of the pleasurable sort. She's rather, shall we say, stony-faced, quite abrupt, and is always eager to start some sort of argument. But can I please remind you to try not to aggravate her, because it is the reputation of the whole guild. Anybody interacting with her, she might actually be quite, and the guy says, obnoxious. Well, yes, obnoxious is probably the best word. She's very senior in the guild, and she knows the power that she possesses. Anybody interacting with her, you'll probably have to use every ounce of your willpower to keep calm and polite.
How long has she been Mistress for?
Oh, some 7 years. Sadly, the last one came to a very unfortunate end, if I remember correctly. And the guy said, yes, she came to a town, not ours, thank goodness. And would you believe she walked straight out of her second-story window onto a pitchfork, impaled herself straight away.
That's not good.
Quite remarkable that she walked and landed straight. We just found her with a pitchfork in her back, out the window. Silly. Fancy sleepwalking. I can't imagine.
If you prop them up or put them away in a shed, and then that type of thing doesn't happen.
What? The guildmistress?
No.
Guildmistress doesn't live in a shed.
The pitchfork.
Oh yes, well.
If she's been the guildmistress for numerous years now, is there anything that you can tell us about her, like subjects to avoid or?
The man says, speaking.
Oh well.
Just avoid speaking, unless you have the power, a very strong willpower to do not slap her across the face. Me, myself, I will be keeping my head down and my lips closed. Yes. I hope that is the question.
But there's nothing else that she dislikes or anything like that. We wouldn't want to.
No, she is the guildmistress. I cannot succumb to normal rumours and back. I'm not that sort of person. Others may listen to rumours. Me, myself, I try to rise above them. Like my good religious acolyte here. We rise above such things, do we not, Mr. Bartleby?
Well, there is one rumor I'm curious about here. Otherwise, you'd be correct. Did you say, perhaps, that there was already an attempt to take the life of this guildmistress? What was the attempt that was found out?
It's purely rumours. Rumours. And probably nothing more than a whole load of rumours. You can probably talk to the other guild members. I know very little of what's gone before, and I probably wouldn't want to actually roll an insight roll, Mr. Bartleby.
Ooh.
Can't waste your 5s now.
Over with a different character.
Yeah, she seems to be telling the truth, and you sort of like think, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have asked such a nice lady to talk about rumours. Rumours are, for the gutter snipes, the people of a lower level of occupation and wealth. Yes, we are prepared to pay you some silver coins. We are prepared to halve it, some of it up front and some of it afterwards, if you are successful, you understand, and that the guildmistress leaves alive. That is your major concern. Please keep her alive. Anyway, I am prepared to do one of two things for you. You can either have the coinage, or if you would prefer, we can give you an item that is of a similar worth as your coinage. The choice is up to you. We understand, that some of you might prefer the finer things in life rather than just the bare coins.
I do have a few more questions, if I may.
Yes.
Is it just the guild mistress, or does she have other people with her, like servants or?
She is the guild mistress.
Take notes.
She is the guild mistress. She hardly travels by herself.
Okay. And what?
She has an entourage with her.
Right.
Many of them hangers-oners. Many of her lackeys constantly praising her and bowing down before her. Some kind of ridiculous substitute. I hate it.
You sound like you don't trust them.
Mr. Bartleby, never trust a merchant.
And what about during the evenings and the night? Will she be staying in the secured guild?
The first night she will be in the guild house, and you are there to protect her, as previously mentioned. Then she will be round the streets, party, and she will leave the following morning. So if you wish to guard her during after the party night, then I'm sure we can come to an arrangement for that.
Do we have a route which she will take on the when she goes through the city?
The guy goes, phew. No matter how much we plan, she always has her own agenda, her own wishes, her own, let's go this way. There is a proposed travel route, but really and truly, let's just say, as you know from living in Lindowe for so long, anything could happen.
So we really need to be following along with her. There is no way to sort of, how can I say, funnel her attention to a certain direction or route. She will go her own way.
Master Hazra, you never funnel the guild mistress. And the guy says, unless you want to lose your head.
I was more concerned that we don't have to carry her, do we? Because, well, I'm not very strong and...
Oh, no. Although some of you obviously have the prowess in that area, and she gazes at Hengist, there's the protection. There'll be no carrying. She has her lackeys to do that. She has people who carry her around and bow to her every whim, all hoping to get some favour with her, not working up the guild line, the guild order like some people do through hard work. And no, well, yes, I'll leave it at that.
My last question, my lady, is would the deputy guild master be coming as well, or just I just want to know if we are protecting two people, or
no, the two are kept separate. We wouldn't want to lose two of them in the same town. He as it is stays back at the main guild headquarters. He is safe there. They have their own personal guard. It's only when people are out and about, and like I say, we don't really want to let Lindowe down. You know, we really want to make sure that everything goes, shall we say, according to plan.
And I know you don't know the details, but is the Guildmistress aware of the attempt on her life?
One does not ask the Guildmistress questions like that. I'm sure that if you ask around, shall we say, you might be able to find certain merchants who will provide you with various rumours. Although, like I said before, I am not one for tittle-tattle. I try to rise above that. You know, one step higher.
That's fine. Could you get us the details of the proposed route, so at least we have a fairly rough idea of where she's going to be going?
Yeah, as in a list of streets?
Yes, the route she'll be taking from A to B.
Yes, well, we can give you those street names, and if you wish, but please be reminded, you know, she very rarely does what is according to the plan.
I understand, but if perhaps somebody else has got details of the same list, and maybe setting a trap somewhere, maybe we'll be able to find and stop it before it happens.
You think it's somebody in the guild who's going to kill her?
Well, who knows? The money talks, doesn't it? These are merchants. No disrespect.
You will. But, sorry, you will be with the Guildmistress, won't you, as she patrols?
Yes, we will. But it's always nice beforehand to maybe scout out the area where she's going to see if anything is untoward at the place.
Right. Would that mean that not all of you will be protecting the guild house in the first instance?
No. We will protect it. If we know beforehand, before she arrives in the city, we can always go out and have a quick reconnaissance, a quick scout, as it were, around stone buildings.
I see. I didn't realise that if there were traps, they would be set up so far in advance. Yes, we can give you that. Just to let you know, she will arrive the day after tomorrow. Let's talk about coinage, or shall we say a price for your services, half now, half after, and of course there will be the option to have goods of a suit of the same or similar value rather than the actual coinage. Yes, so let's start, shall we? Shall I say 3?
3
Well,
1,000?
Yes, I am happy to accept that price, Master Gulliver. 3,000.
I just need to confer with my other friends here, but I would have thought 3,000 per person per area should be fine.
No.
Oh,
No, and we were talking about the total price for the whole of not each, the total price for the whole service.
Oh, sorry, I was confused. So 5.
Roll your influence roll. I get 59 out of 76.
I got a crit.
Oh right, okay then.
It is almost 48 hours that we would have to gather for, and we're going to have to, at some point, we're going to have to do it in shifts because we can't all stay awake for 48 hours.
You are a canny bargaining person, Master Gulliver, and I can see the innocence in your eyes. Okay then, I will say my last and final offer. I will give 6,000. The guy next to her nearly falls off his chair when she said, I will give 6,000, 3,000 to start off with, and 3,000 for the completion, or if you will prefer us to keep the money until the end of the job. I'm not too sure if you can store such money in these places, then I am quite happy to do that.
Gulliver will look at the other people sat around the table.
I have no dying need for money at this moment.
Oh.
Well, I could quite happily take the money now, but you are right. I would rather not have it carried around through this town.
Just think how many spears you could buy with that, Hazra.
I know this is true, but who would make them? Because people so far are very unwilling to make my spears.
I think it's agreed then. Hengist?
Yes, on completion is fine with me.
Yes. So, yes.
Okay then.
On completion of the mission.
If you can be at the guild house, and you know whereabouts this is in the town, if you could be at the guild house for when she arrives tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, and she is due to arrive in the city at approximately 10 bells in the morning, that is. So if you could be in position gardening the guild house by then that would be absolutely fantastic.
And before then you would get us an itinerary of where she would be going, what street names, please.
Yes,
by tomorrow, that would be lovely.
I can get you those street names by tomorrow morning, yes, not a problem.
Thank you, madam.
Okay then, so the guild members sort of like stand up to go and leave you, and she comes back and says, oh, by the way, nobody actually asked. Her name is Nimbus Sweet Flame. Yes, I will let you decide whether or not that is appropriate or not. It might be helpful for your inquiries tomorrow, if you decide to make any. Yes, Nimbus Sweet Flame. And they sort of like get up, and Basil comes across and shouts after them, you didn't touch the wine! And the woman turns around, I wasn't aware that you bought any. And they just turn and sort of like walk out of the tavern in a flurry and a flourish. Okay, so you have the rest of the evening if you wish to do anything, and then you have tomorrow morning to make inquiries. Any rumours, anybody that you know who might be able to give you some information, then that is something that you can do tomorrow. So is there anything that you would like to do tonight? It's quite late at the moment. But it's dark outside.
Tonight we drink.
Okay.
Tomorrow we should find out more information, though, my friends.
Okay then. So you settle down and you enjoy the rest of the wine and some of the meal. If you're eating any of the pie, then it is slightly chewy, a bit tough, but maybe Basil can't afford the best mutton in the place. And just as the evening comes to a close, could you all roll for me, please, a perception roll? And just to let you know, Hengist and Hazra, does Bartleby drink?
Not since he had that bad instance where he missed Amriel that night when we were traveling.
Oh yeah.
Blackvale
Okay then.
Mountains.
So Gulliver and Bartleby, yours will be a standard roll. Hazra and Hengist, yours will be a hard roll. That was it. So just roll your perceptions.
Wow.
Bartleby gets the first fumble of the day. So you will get a +1 at the end of the adventure for that. I'm just scrolling up. So the two very sober people don't see anything.
My excuse if it's happening behind me.
Yeah. Okay then. And then Hengist and Hazra, you do notice that shortly after the two guild leaders left via the door.
As was a hard roll, isn't he?
Oh yes, sorry.
I failed to.
Yeah, Hengist, you do notice that shortly after the guild people left, there seemed to be a couple of people who were already seated at the bar in the tavern. They also got up and left. You don't know. It just sort of like triggers something off in your mind as they do that.
Did I see what they were wearing? The sort of like how they were dressed, or
they seem
how
to
they
have.
walked?
They seem to have travelling cloaks on, and then normal shirts and breeches.
And how sort of what was their sort of? Did I see their bearing? Or was sort of like, were they walking confidently? Were they drunk? Were they?
They're definitely not drunk.
Okay.
Okay then, so you all busy yourself and enjoy the last of the evening, and then you all go off to your various places that you live, and then you have a sleep, and then you get up the next morning. So can you just tell me where you sleep, just so I know? Where do you actually spend the night? And what sort of things do you complete in almost like your morning routines before you come back here to meet up?
So Oliver's room is very small. There's enough to get a cot and a desk in. It doesn't have a window as such. It's sort of like a slit, which is very high up. Which lets a bit of light in, but too high to actually to look out. A lot of the other apprentices, we call them prison cells, but to be honest with you, to Gulliver, it's absolutely unbelievable, because it's his own room, and being brought up in an orphanage back on the other continent, where there was 20-30 people sometimes in one big dormitory. This is like luxury to him. So he gets woken up in the morning with the apprentice bell being sounded, so that gets him up. They have to spend they all go down for breakfast. It's nothing spectacular, but it's good solid food, and it's a couple of meals a day, which is nice. An hour's studying before he can do anything, as well as his daily chores. His job at the moment is helping Maud in the library, which is part of his thing for her teaching him about moonology. So it's basically putting the books back into the correct order where they should be on the bookshelves, etc. It also includes, of course, a bit of finger manipulation and vocabulary training, all to do with his spell casting.
Cool.
But normally by sort of like 10 o'clock, there he's free to do.
Excellent. Anyone else?
Once the sun rises, Hazra will emerge from his little hut by the forest edge, and he'll go out and he'll check all his traps that he's left to see what he's been able to catch through the night. He'll then go back. He'll go through a routine of skinning and preparing whatever he has caught, and maybe going into town by 9 o'clock in the morning. But once the store's open in the morning, and then taking his catch in there to barter with.
9 o'clock's probably very late. Most of the places would open at
sort of 7ish
sunrise. Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah,
and especially things like bakers that would be baking the bread ready for early morning trade.
He would know this, and he wouldn't be too sure about this, to be fair. But he would go in when he feels ready with his catch to exchange for coinage, for bread, for just a little bit of this and that.
Cool. Anyone else?
Bartleby, of course, stays at the church in kind of the dormitory areas. But I imagine a lot of the initiates of Amriel have weird hours, since many of them wake up at different points of the night to go out into the moonlight and pray. I believe it's a waxing crescent right now for Amriel.
It certainly is, yeah.
So Bartleby had his sleep and woke up at his point to pray in the bathing moonlight and go back to sleep. The food at the church is probably really nutrient dense. Heavy food for energy for those who need to keep up and stay awake. Yes, nice porridge with a little bit of butter or sugar in it or something. And then Bartleby makes his way down to the slums after he's woken up and gotten ready.
Yeah, and see how many dead bodies there are, people who didn't make it through the night. And yeah, so it's just Hengist now.
So Hengist will be sleeping in his house, as he normally does. So he would sort of like do the normal sort of things, make sure his arm is all nice and not got any rust on it, or the straps are all okay. First thing in the morning, he'd also probably do a few bit of warm-up exercises in one of the rooms, which is designated as his sparring or training room, because he's the only one living in this house. So he'll do sort of like a few bit of warm-up exercises to make sure his body's nice and loose and limber, and that sort of thing as well as eating some nice food, probably some eggs, maybe a bit of bacon, that sort of thing.
Okay, so everybody is up and completed their morning routines, and you meet back at the Hairy Goblin. This place is normally empty during the early hours of the morning. There is, by the time you get there, a list of words. Anybody with a literacy skill, you can see that it's actually a list of street names. Who can read? Is it just Bartleby and Gulliver?
Yeah, well, Bartleby, Gulliver will pick it up. And
I guess I have a basic.
He'll say, "Oh, mate, this is what you asked for, Hazra. I'll read them out for you."
Oh, Gulliver, you are such a wonderful child. Thank you. These characters sometimes they look very strange.
Okay, so Gulliver.
The street names.
Yeah, Gulliver and you can probably all roll your locale for the city. So if your locale is for somewhere else or more for the countryside, then don't roll. But if your locale is for the city, so Bartleby, just off the top of my head, you will have a good understanding of the city because that's where you've actually grown up. If you have been in the town for a considerable amount of time, but you should have your own locale skill. And if you are more sort of like countryside locale, then it would just be really difficult for you to know.
Hazard wouldn't, because he knows to Count Bastion's court and to the pub.
Yep, Cool.
And maybe to the docks, that's it.
Okay then. So anybody
Would
else?
I be able to substitute my streetwise skill?
Streetwise is coming up in a second.
All right. Okay. Sorry.
So locale rolls first.
Pow.
Cool. Yeah. So you both see the streets. It's almost like seems to be. There seem to be streets that are not actually joined together, but you do know that there's certain areas within Lindowe that the locale is pointing to. So you can see that there seems to be a street that has, say, for example, jewelers on. That they seem to be going there, and another one that is more to do with the like blacksmithing and things like that. Just roll. Because I think both Bartleby and Gulliver, you both have streetwise skills, so you can roll them now. Bartleby's trying to forget everything that ever happened.
I'm better with like the lower level areas, the slums and the whole merchant stuff. I'm not too familiar with them. I don't help them very much.
So you're both happy with the rolls?
I would like to use actually a point of luck to swap my roll round, bringing it to a 26
Okay.
out of 40.
There is one location, Gulliver, that you almost like seem very strange. It's actually in the warehouse district that you were when you did the raid, and when you were hiding. There seems to that street or street near it seems to be on the itinerary, but as far as you remember,
That's in the old dock area.
yeah, and it seemed to be warehouses there rather than merchants selling. All the other places you can probably pick up and sort of think, oh yes, there's a blacksmith there, oh yeah, there's a jeweler's there, oh yeah, that's a really good food for produce. And then also then this street which almost like has, from what you can tell, just warehouses on, and it seems to be a very strange place for her to actually be frequenting.
Gulliver's going to point it out to the rest of the rest of the characters, and he'll say, "Isn't that close to where we were protecting the? Well, when we were supposed to be trying to apprehend those thieves that were stealing from the ship."
Perhaps they just want to show off that their warehouses are full of goods, or that they're empty of goods, and showing that they're good selling. Isn't that why they were trying to impress the Guildmistress?
I think we should. Yes, but the City Watch don't go there anymore, Bartleby. And you would have thought that the merchants would want their stuff protected, so that they would do it within the confines of the city, or in the new dock where me and Hengist actually came in. That was a really nice place. There was city guards. There was people checking who you were when you were coming in and out from the docks. This other place is, well, well, put it this way: if I was going to try to kill somebody, I would do it there.
That's a good point. That is a good point. But we don't know how they've tried to kill her so far. If we knew that information, we might have a good idea of where this assassination attempt might occur.
But would they try to do it the same way if that attempt failed?
If you're a poisoner and all you know is poisons, you're not going to charge out like Hengist with a big blade.
Right. So we need to find that out. So who do you suggest?
I was going to go see if I couldn't ask some of the people I know in the slums if they've heard any rumors.
You're not going to the open sales legs, are you?
No, I'm not scared. I'm just avoiding it intentionally.
Okay. I think we should talk about actually protecting her.
How so?
She seems very. don't know how to put this. She seems very uppity.
Well, I tend to find. Sorry, I was going to say I tend to find uppity people. If we keep a distance from them and just watch around us, we should be fine. Just to not engage with her.
I think the only problem that we're going to have with that, though, is that we're going to have to be pretty close, because if all of a sudden somebody comes out of a dark passageway with a dagger, and we're, 15 feet back from her, she could have several holes in her before we actually.
I'm happy to be standing in close proximity to her.
Oh, I'm glad you said that, Hengist, because I think out of everybody, you're going to be the best person to be dealing with her. We don't have the airs and graces that you do. And, I mean, to be honest with you, Hazra sometimes smells of dead rabbit, which...
It's true, but unfortunate, yes.
And to be honest with you, I think his house is a bit of a way away from the nearest stream. So I think that's probably a good idea. You being above us in certain areas. That's right. Hengist, not in all of them. I don't mean in stuff like intellect and things like that, but in airs and graces.
That's fine. I understand what you're saying, Gulliver.
Just out of interest, but if she does address me, what should I call her? Is there a specific?
I would have thought Guildmistress.
Guildmistress.
I would have thought so, unless she says something different.
Guildmistress. Right.
Perhaps, Gulliver, my friend, it might be worth Bartleby here staying close to her as well, because his healing prowess is second to none. And if anything does happen, maybe he could call upon Amriel to help him. And then maybe you and I, my friend, can be more wider afield, keeping a lookout for people.
I agree. The calming grace of Amriel shall warm her heart and prevent her from lashing out at Hengist and I.
Do I?
And it would be good, possibly, because if there is any, having you close by, because if there is any attack on her, you can always put protection, cast some lights of Amriel on her to keep her safe.
I'm sure touching her will not be a problem. Come here.
With my wonky hands. Just...
Yeah.
It's where I gotta go, hey, how you doing?
Guildmistress. Do I bow, or just Guildmistress? Hengist? He's always like this when he's had all that beer and ale the night before.
Can I just remind you, Hengers, that your cam's on today, so we know you're there.
No, I wouldn't have thought you would need to bow. Maybe nod at head.
No bow. Got it.
Okay, just before we go for a break, obviously you're going to have a day to actually inquire and make, see if there's any rumours. So just to give you something to think about, over the break, have a think about what you would like to do during the next day. And then remember, she will arrive the day after that at 10 o'clock. So you've got the next day to sort of like catch up with anything. So if you decide who you're going to go and talk to, remember then there will be a role involved, if normally influence if nothing else, but you might be able to augment it with another skill if you present the situation to do that. So it's a lot better to say to me, I'm going to roll my influence, but I would like to, can I augment it with, you know, and then that's it. So we're going to take a quick 10-minute break. So it's 31 minutes past, so we'll start again at 41. So yeah, so go away, stretch your legs and grab a beverage and something to eat, and we will be back in 10. See you soon. that and that and that. Hello, we are back.
Hello.
Just a
Mr. Pickers has got a mouthful of something. He nearly dropped it all the way down his front.
just to let you know, there's sometimes my mic sound, my meter for my mic goes shooting up, so I don't know if there's an issue with it, but if there is, I apologize now. I will keep an eye, and I've turned my fan off as well. Okay then, so yeah, it's the next day. You've had a look at the map, and you know where the streets are, including one that is actually in a very strange area, a rather run down area, an area that is just basically warehouses. So you're not too sure what that is all about. But is there any other ways that you would like to get some information at all? Remember, if you are doing it, you'll need to tell me a social skill that you're using, and then whether or not you wish to augment it by something, and that would be what would happen. Yeah, so let me know.
Well, Azra wants to talk to Hengist, and you'll say, Hengist, my friend, perhaps at some point today we can walk the route of these streets that that Gulliver has found, and you being an ex-guard of this city would be, and I'd like to think a bit to show me the ways, and you maybe to see if anything is out of place, and we could walk the route and see any possible chances of ambush or attack. But whenever you're free, just come to me, and I will come with you.
That's a good idea. I also want to have a look at the guild building as well. Just like to see how many doors it's got, windows, and how easily it is to get in from the outside and those sorts of things.
I agree. I was looking at the roof accesses, and because if you're going to kill something, like if you're hunting a deer or a bear, sometimes it's nice to get into a tree and be able to be above them. So maybe in this city, if there is a way to be above the guild house or next to it.
Okay, then, so my plan with the guild house is that you'll probably all come there later on the day, so you can see the layout of that, which we can do. So let's concentrate on Hazra and Hengist walking round the streets. What sort of things are you looking for?
Looking for sort of like choke points, somewhere that could be places that we could easily be ambushed from, apart from having someone stand on the roof. Are there lots of particular alleyways?
Well, yeah, I mean,
how busy the roads are and the pavements are.
With daggers.
Yeah, well, the other thing that Azra's going to say is that perhaps maybe anything that has changed, because we especially going to the warehouse where we were the last time is unusual. So maybe we've been there before. If anything has changed since we were last there, and what Hazra will be doing, he'll be looking at maybe high up spots as well as.
Well, okay, I think you need to think about that. These are busy streets in a town. All the houses are 2 stories. All of them have roofs. There's also numerous little alleyways and snicket ways all over the place. Once the sun's up, then all the main town is always very busy. There's people coming and going all over the place. Choke points could be at any position down the street. Like I said, there's always 2 stories for everything, so anything could be rained down from any of the roofs. You go down to the warehouse area. It's not the same place as you were last time. It's in the same area. You do notice, because you're through the day. It was night last time you were there. Then there's people, carting boxes and things like that to the warehouse. It seems to be quite normal. There seems to be a lot of people moving around. Yeah, it's the Hengist and Hazra. You spot numerous areas. I think Hengist has walked through the slums before and been attacked when you went to see the sanctuary. And so you know that, especially down in the slum areas, the roads get very narrow. Yeah. Okay, anything else that you two would like to check out? You don't need to roll for any of that. You actually can walk down and sort of see it.
No, Hengist hasn't got anything else at the moment. He wants to meet back with everyone else to talk about the route and have a look at the guild house as a group.
Okay,
and
then.
Hazard's like a fish out of water, so he's going to follow Hengist's lead, basically.
Okay, cool. And then Gulliver and Bartleby, is there anything that you guys would like to do?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess I'll just go on ahead. I would like to try and use my streetwise skill, possibly adding on my Oath to the Twin Moons as a booster there, because the argument is I want to go to the lower class people that I've generally working with on my routes, is the people who they see me there. I'm here to heal, I'm cure burns, take out disease or poison, fix a hangover or two, that kind of stuff. I did want to grab some coins from my storage. If you ever want to see my accounting, you can always check my character sheet for that. But I want to use 10 silver coins in this overall search to help lubricate deals and make sure people are willing to talk. Maybe, oh yeah, good old friend Bartleby, you cured that person or whatnot. And oh yeah, I might know stuff. The two questions I have is, one, is there anything important going down in that general area? Like, would there be any, do people know of any rare goods that are being stored in a warehouse there that would make sense?
Are you talking about, are you talking about legal stuff or illegal stuff?
Bartleby doesn't judge. Anything that they think is important, Bartleby is willing to listen.
Okay.
And I guess my second question then, my main question really, is what do people know about the assassination attempt of Nimbus Sweetflame, the Guildmistress?
If it's all right with Bartleby, Gulliver would like to tag along. Several reasons. The first reason is that last time Bartleby went into the slums, he nearly got the shit kicked out of him by a couple of ruffians when he was asking the wrong questions. Second reason, if I'm Gulliver, he's gullible, and he tends to believe anything he's told, so Gulliver would like to tag along. One, because he's a bit unobtrusive, he's not as if he's clad out in armour, he's a little ginger kid. And secondly, because he's got pretty good insight, so he wants to be using that just to see whether or not the information that Bartleby is receiving is actually worth its weight in gold.
Okay, then. Are you entering in the discussions at all?
To be honest with you, it depends on how Bartleby is with it. Gulliver knows that Bartleby is talking to people that he may have a relationship with, but are purely I heal the I occasionally cut their toenails or whatever he does when he goes down.
Okay, so the first thing you need to decide, and I'm quite happy for you guys to
if I can augment his,
well, that's what I'm going to talk about
with my influence.
Hang on, that's what I'm going to talk about. So you can only augment a role with one other role. So what you couldn't do in this situation, if Bartleby augments it with his Order of the Twin Moons, then he can't then augment it with your influence. Does that make sense? Because otherwise you could everybody could augment it and suddenly the score's 100. You can augment it between you, and that's why I asked whether or not you're sort of participate. So,
well, in which case, if Bartleby's using his insight and augmenting it with this order, then Gulliver will just keep quiet, watch carefully, watch for people about to jump out and, get the wrong idea of the questions that Bartleby's asking, but also try his best to read the people.
Okay then.
Depending on how long it's going to take, and if he needs to, Gulliver might, if he can, form a telepathic link with Bartleby before they actually go into the slum area. And he then, if he needs to prompt him to ask anything relevant, he would do that via a telepathic message.
So we're not going to role play each encounter out. We're going to look at it as a global thing, like I did with Hengist and Hazra. So Bartleby, you need to blind roll it to me.
Would that be my streetwise with or without my oath passion?
You can augment it with your passion. So your blind roll it 1d100, then put your augmented skill after that, so I can actually see what it is.
Let's see.
Blind roll my insight.
In a second.
Yeah, I can just somebody just tell me what is it exclamation mark B-roll or / B-roll?
Yeah, I believe it's exclamation B-roll D100 and then space your skill number. I'm hoping.
Let's see if
okay.
Works.
Here goes. Hopefully.
Yeah. So you rolled a 1d100 and 64 is your augmented skill.
Correct.
Yeah, and I've got an answer there that you won't be able to see, but the stream can. And then Gulliver, can you do the same with your insight roll?
Hopefully this is going to come up.
Okay. So a few things, and you pick this up quite readily. Bartleby and Gulliver, there's no need to relay it. We'll assume that you've talked to each other in between. So the first thing that suddenly dawns on you is that you're probably not in the right area of the town to be asking about the Merchant Guild. You get a lot of negative looks. Some people even say, who? And in this area of the town, there seems to be no presence of the guild of merchants at all. And you soon sort of start to think, where we need to be asking these questions elsewhere. These people either do not understand or don't know, or there's no sort of interaction. There is something that you do find out, however, and it's a rather strange thing, and it relates to when you're down at the docks and you're talking to some of the porters at the docks who sort of offload personal belongings or something like that, and they do relate a rather humorous, well, not humorous story. There is this story that that goes along that the last time the Guildmistress Nimbus came to Lindowe is that she had several, and they called them discussions, but you get a distinct feeling that they mean arguments with the local harbour master, and all you get is that they were stood around ages, and quite a group of people congregated near where the harbour master's offices are, because there was quite a lot of loud bellowing, and there is even some rumours that some things were thrown, and they talk about smashing. there is a little bit an end to the story that the Guildmistress left in a rather flounce, red in the face and shaking somewhat. Gulliver, you with your insight roll, you think that they're telling the truth about this. They almost like see it as a comedy, rather than something that they were worried about. And that probably goes back to the point about thinking, oh, the merchant guilds have nothing to do with us. Now, you can, if you wish, you to do the same in the town. The only difference is it'll be your commerce roll that replaces your streetwise, if you'd like to do it in the town.
Yeah, I think after having that discussion, Gulliver and I on the docks probably both came to the conclusion that we should try somewhere else.
We don't really have any I mean, the only contacts that we have that are trade related, we have odd nasty person, Sylvester, McCoy. But go for it. If I remember, there was also a third merchant. I want to say that his name was Martin.
He was.
The one that had a thing for...
But I don't know if you remember, he was there for a significant time and then he disappeared.
Yeah, and we thought he was actually... have we seen him since?
No.
No, that's fine then.
I'm growing up here. Bartleby, with his commerce skill, his father was a merchant, so I come from the merchant class. Maybe I'd be able to look up some old people who I may have known or my father did business with using my commerce skill.
Yeah, and I think you know where the Guildmistress is going as well, so you could probably call in on various places. So
as they're walking around, Gulliver wants to say to Bartleby about seeing whether or not there's any other guilds that might whether or not they're in any trade wars at the moment, and whether or not there's any particular guild, especially those of them present in Lindowe and the other town, whether or not we can collate that information together to see whether or not there's anybody who wants to be with me.
Yeah, so I mean,
I don't think Bartleby. Oh, Christ, Bartleby was. Oh,
so,
no. I'm just going back into Roll20.
So is the idea, Bartleby, you're going to roll your commerce, and then Gulliver, you're going to roll your insight?
Indeed. Well, yeah, I mean, that's Gulliver's plan.
I'm agreeable with that plan because...
Okay, so does your straight commerce?
You want blind roll, though?
Yes, please, yeah.
My skill is a 42, if that doesn't come out correctly. I mean, I'm not like big into commerce, but you know.
Can I? Am I able to? If Bartleby's not augmenting it with anything else, can I augment it with my commerce, and sort of like put our heads together and work out the best way to?
Okay, so who has the highest commerce?
I have 54.
What's yours, Bartleby?
42.
Well, we'll go with Bartleby because Bartleby's going down the route that he has.
Well,
friends.
you would the person with the highest score always rolls it, and then it's augmented with the other one. So if,
okay, what's 20% of your commerce?
8.
8.
I think so.
Okay.
So 2. I'm having to get a calculator because my math isn't working.
So it's divided by 10 and double.
Oh, that's good. It's 8.4, so that'd be a 9.
9. Okay then. So
63 rather than.
So there was no insight roll, so you don't know whether or not people are lying or telling the truth about this. But there's certain things that you find out. The first thing that you find out is that if the Guildmistress dies. And some people seem very keen for her to die. They're not plotting her assassination. It's more you think that they don't like her, you know. But they do talk about somebody called Laszlo III, who would take control in an interim measure. And he's this sort of like the second in command. But he would only do it for a limited amount of time, because basically what would happen is that the guild would have to revote. So the deputy does not take it all on and become the leader. It's almost like he's a leader or she's a leader for a set amount of time until voting is done. Of course, at that point they could become guildmaster or guildmistress. Yes, Laszlo III, he's been a second in command for a number of years, but he seemed to be liked. He seems to be much more jovial, less obnoxious. People talk about it, the power hasn't gone to his head when he became deputy leader of the guild.
Do we get the almost feeling that people would prefer him to be guild leader rather than...
They just seem to think he's a nicer person. The other thing that you find is that there is a rumour that there is a takeover bid brewing. One of the merchants talks to you about this in secret. He sort of like gets close and sort of like lets you know, but he sort of like keeps mentioning that it's a rumour. It's a rumour. You know, if there was a takeover bid, then Laszlo III would take interim control, and then something else would happen, you know, but Laszlo himself might become chief. The other thing that you hear is that in the last town that in one of the towns that the last one that the Guildmistress visited, it was a coastal town called Merkmire from Elder Scrolls Online, and the rumour is, and the Guildmistress goes to a town that goes back to the main complex, then out again. Just to let you know, the Order of the Guild has like a countryside manor house that's really big, and that's where they live. It's rumoured that there was a poisonous snake, not a big one, but a viper of some description, was placed in her carriage that she rides around with. He, luckily or unluckily for the footman, a footman found it by accident and it bit him, and he died unfortunately several hours later after suffering a lot of agony as the poison took effect. Again, and this is throughout this time, the merchants keep saying, of course this is a rumour. Of course, you understand that this is a rumour. You understand I cannot fully recommend this was a truth. You know, it was just a rumour. And this seems to be an ongoing thing that comes back to you over and over and over again. Now, just to let you know, I'm just going to move you onto the guild house. Can you see it? Everyone see it?
Yes, indeed.
Okay then. So
Don't have control over characters, but
no,
yeah, I just wanted to know.
This road here is the road that the carriage will come down to actually I'm just going through making sure that you've all got control over everything. That's why I'm not paying a full attention. I'll just make sure you've all got control, and then I think Hazra, you've got
I've got mine.
I do, yeah.
I'll just do Bartleby's then. Did you see, just while I'm doing this, Mr. Pickles, did you see the tweet I sent you?
The treat?
Tweet.
Oh, I think so. The one you sent this morning.
Roll20 now has galactic maps, but the icons of the planets actually move. They actually spin round.
They're all animated and whatnot.
Yeah, and a space station moves, and you get a little thing. And I thought, wow, it's going really quickly, in that direction. Okay, let me just explain some things to you. So this is the path, the road that leads up to. Just to let you know, as always, if you came off this side, you would go onto that side, but in the middle would all be houses. Does that make sense? So if you...
Sorry.
It's the same as if you go up here, you'll come on there, and then that'll be the first houses. Okay, so first things first, the main entrance to the building is... I'll just draw a little line for you. Is here. Okay, so in order to gain entrance to the building, you need to go up the stairs and in there. This building is 2 stories high, and as previously asked, there is a set of stairs that goes right the way up to the roof. The roof has a small battlement on it. These circular things up here are chimneys. Okay, for hot air and smoke to come out.
The stairs are internal stairs, though, yeah?
Yeah, these are the stairs that lead up and to the roof. So there's like a trap door that would open and it would come up. This is a walkway. It's slightly elevated, but you could probably crawl underneath it, and that's it. And then this house here is like where the leaders of this guild live, if that makes sense. So anybody else will have things inside here, but this is where the guild would live. All the houses that you see round about are exactly what they look like. You can see where doors are by the little steps. Can you see those?
Yeah.
So, and if there's one that you can't see, so 1-4, then just let me know if you need to know where it is. They are not keen to give you entrance to the guild house. That will be given to you, because if you remember, it's only for certain people, and that's it. If you wish to get up onto the roof, anybody, then you will need to do some fast talking or an influence skill roll in order to get up there. Okay, so that's the general layout. The carriage will come from this direction. It'll park here, and then people get out, go round, up the stairs, and in.
I have one question.
Yeah, go for it.
On the elevated walkway, is there a door? There's a door on each.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it's literally, it's probably elevated enough, about this much.
Right.
But so 30.
You could climb onto it pretty easy.
Yeah. You think it's probably like that. So if it was raining and the ground got muddy, you're not going to have to walk across the street. Obviously, no carts or horses actually come round this part of it. It's completely sealed off. Any other questions?
These houses are in the southeast, southwest, and northwest. Are they just residential, or are they part of the guild as well?
These are all houses. People live upstairs, but the base is roughly shops and things like that. If you imagine the guild base, the square building, that's in the middle of the commerce area.
Gotcha.
And it's a bit like all roads lead to the guild house. Obviously, these houses round about, these shops are extremely prized places. These are for the people who are very close to the guild. Anybody with a commerce, Gulliver, yours, roll your commerce skill. You can augment it still with.
Okay, so it's 62 rather than 54.
Yeah, that's not a problem at all. You know that the closer to the guild house, the guild probably taxes these people heavily for the honour of being near to the guild house. And Hengist, you know that it's only the well-to-do people. You wouldn't, if Gulliver opened a shop, you wouldn't be in this area, you know, and probably most of them are selling quite, how can one put it, non-essential items. It's say again, sorry.
Useless stuff.
Yeah, they're sort of like a silk scarf or something like that. They're not great trades people. They're more sort of like selling things that people buy just to show their status, but not a huge amount of crafting involved. It's more selling. So there's not a blacksmith here, but there might be a jeweler, because that's quite exquisite. You know, you also notice that all the porters and the people who are employed are very well dressed. You know, they've got white shirts and breeches on, and everything looks nice and pressed and nice. Some of them are wearing little pillbox hats as they go from one place to another. Everything is, if anybody came to this area, you would be impressed, you know. But if somebody who was very practical came to this area, you would just think, what a whole load of pomp and circumstance about nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's it. Any more questions about the
I have one. Well, kind of one and a half. I presume there's no other back doors to this building?
No.
Okay.
The only way out would be the main door or the doorway that leads to the house.
Gotcha. How's the window situation looking here? Are there a lot of windows? Are there a lot of shutters?
Yeah, they obviously like natural light to come in. So there's a considerable amount, over almost like an extravagant amount of windows around. Just to let you know, they seem to be shuttered higher up. They can be shuttered. Some of them have glass in, but you don't think it's... You could climb through one, but there's no sort of like substantial windows on the bottom. You know, you figure if anybody's going to break in, it's either going to come from the top or onto the second floor, maybe level with the roofs, if that makes sense.
It does. And that's all I have for questions.
You got any, Hengist?
No, the main question has been covered already, so that's okay.
Okay, so my questions would be, does the guild employ its own type of security, i.e. is the people at the door sort of like checking who's coming in and out?
The people at the door, there seems to be two like porters with their white shirts and breeches and pillbox hats on. They seem to know the people who are going in and out of the guild. You do notice, this roll a perception check, Gulliver.
57 out of 60.
Yeah, you do notice as they're going in and out, then they seem to have some kind of ring on their finger, and at first you think they're holding it out to be kissed, but then you notice that they're holding it out like this, and the porters are bending over, checking the ring, and then letting them in. You do notice that some people get up to the top and they literally just bow and open the door, and there's no ring checking done at all. And you figure this is probably because they know them. You know, they're not barging their way in, and they sort of like nod, and now and again you sort of like hear them say, "Morning, sir." you know, as they go in.
Okay. And my second question is, do we know as of yet where Nimbus will be staying the first night? Does she have?
Yeah, she is staying in the house.
She'll be staying in
one of the 4 rooms. Yeah.
And so the first day, we don't know yet, but it sounds like she's not going to be leaving the guild house.
Well,
she's
yeah,
like meetings there, and then she'll be heading into sleep for the night.
Yeah, and then the next day she's
then going on a tour, and then there's a party. But from what we know, on the first day she's going to be coming into the guild house, having meetings, discussing business there, and then she will be having something to eat, and then going into that house where she will be staying.
Probably later on in the evening, probably. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so you have this map. There's quite a few people milling around, and you have plenty of opportunity now to decide where you're going to be, how you're going to guard the outside. Remember, you're guarding it not only when she arrives, but also for the rest of her time in there. if that makes sense. So it's not just while she's in there having meetings, you're still responsible for your money, to gain your money to actually.
So we probably wouldn't discuss this stood where we are, you know, sort of like, because it would look a bit suspicious if we were doing that, even though we've been employed by the guild, you know. We're not the sort of like, so we'll probably go back to the hairy hobgoblin to discuss our plans. We'll make sure that Hengist and Hazra are made aware of what Bartleby and myself found out.
That's cool.
Down at the docks and on the streets, as it were.
Can I interrupt really quick? I bumped my video camera cable. I just want to make sure I didn't mess up everything on your stream.
No, it's fine.
You're fine.
You're fine. Absolutely.
Okay,
fine.
good. I just want to make sure.
See what, sorry?
His heart.
Oh yeah, on his t-shirt.
Oh, that's so sweet. Many a lady has swooned to his heart.
No, it's a target. it's so people. Yeah. Okay then.
Helpful.
Okay, and then Gulliver's going to kick off by saying, "So it sounds like the last attempt on her life was almost as if to look like an accident. I don't suppose that the Merchant Guild wants a whole load of, I don't know, City Watch looking into if all of a sudden their Guildmistress dies, and it would also, I don't know, I think it would also cause a whole load of internal issues. So I think if they're going to try to kill her, they're going to try to make it look like an accident, and it's going to either happen as she's entering or as she's leaving. Now, I'm no expert on this, but I think if I was going to try to kill her, not that I am, because I wouldn't do anything like that, but maybe either something falling as she was going in, maybe from the top of the building, or maybe something happening as she was going from the guild house into where they all sleep. That would be another. I don't know. Maybe it all collapsed, or there was some type of, I don't know, accident.
Whatever, my friend. If the walkway collapsed, she would only fall like 2 feet.
You're very quiet.
I'm a very. Sorry, my microphone was way out of there, which is strange for a tribesman like me. Yes, if they collapsed the walkway, she'd only fall like 2 or 3 feet, so that wouldn't harm her. I'm more concerned with perhaps what is in her room. we have no access to the sleeping quarters. This is a problem. Hengist and I could watch the walkway, and Hengist could be on the side of the door, so of the main door of the guild house, and watch that as well. Well, I could watch the other side at the corner, but that still doesn't stop us from seeing what is happening inside, which is most unfortunate. I mean, how high were the windows around the rear of the building? Were they
second floor?
Second floor, so there's no windows on the first floor. It's all second floor windows.
Correct.
Beaming down. Lovely, thank you. So I mean, my only thought is perhaps we do each stand at the corner of the building and just keep watch, but that would be very tiring all night.
I think if they were worried about stuff that was happening to inside, they would have given us access. They only want us to protect the outside.
Just a thought, but perhaps if I saw the last time we met and we worked together at Gulliver, that you were able to follow somebody. I don't know how you do it. It's very strange, but you just sat at the table and you were able to tell me or tell us all where that person went. Would you be able to, for example, if once she went across the bridge, to be able to follow her with your hocus pocus and see where she was going and what she was doing without her knowing?
But what happens if she goes for a bath before she goes to bed?
Close your eyes.
But what happens if I get caught?
She'd be very, very angry.
I think everybody would be very angry.
But it's just a thought. I mean, perhaps we are just throwing around ideas of how to catch a bear at the moment.
What are your thoughts, Hengist?
Well, we clearly need to.
Situation.
Sorry, I beg your pardon. I missed that, Gulliver.
We tend to rely on your skills in this type of situation.
I think for the first day and the night, we would need to obviously keep an eye out on the main entrances of the guild house, and then shift our focus to the apartments in the night. But we would have to do it by shifts, so maybe 2 on and 2 off, and then being so Ahasra and yourself, Bartleby, or yourself, Gulliver, and then myself with the other one, to spread it out, because we won't be able to stay awake for 48 hours straight to protect her.
Would you like to be on the map to see the surrounding areas? That's what's. Sorry, I moved you back because I thought you were going to do.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say that just in
the stream. We were still on this map on the stream. Yeah. I just thought if you're looking on positioning.
No, I agree. Hengist, you talk wise words because you are wise in these things. I mean, perhaps if somebody was here, then somebody, I can't move you, but somebody was here, we could watch both sides of each building, perhaps. Yeah, but both sides of the building, and then we swap over and just keep that way. But you'd have to sleep very close to hand, otherwise what would happen if something happened? You wouldn't be close enough. Where would you sleep?
I'm sorry, but I'm not just going to go to sleep on the corner of a street. I think we're going to have to. We're just going to have to stay away. We're there to protect somebody from dying. We can't be sleeping on the street corner. Maybe if once we've got a plan, maybe if we all go to sleep now and sleep until she's due to arrive, then maybe we can get through the the next day. I once stayed asleep for 27 hours.
Stayed asleep.
I once stayed awake for quite a while, but then I started to see strange things.
If just to put it into the game mechanics, if you all stay awake all night and then go straight in the next day to protect her,
Yeah.
then you will have to make endurance rolls to combat fatigue levels. So
and that's why we bring in Bartleby.
Yeah, and that's absolutely fine. If you then, so you'll have fatigue levels ready for the morning shift, and then if you don't rest or anything like that, then you will have to complete another fatigue row to last through the night at the party.
Every hour on the hour.
No, just pass.
All right.
I'm quite happy for you to tell me when you're ready to move to the next thing that will be the next scene will be the carriage arriving at the guild house. So whenever you're ready, let me know.
My concern is that nothing will happen in the guild house. That is my feeling, because there are too many witnesses, too many people there.
It's okay if it happens inside it anyway, because we're not responsible for that.
No, but we're to protect her. But if anything happens in the house, we need to be watching around the house, around the back of the house, perhaps. It's just, that is the weakest point at the moment, is the house when she goes to rest.
I have a plan.
Go for
Oh, Mr. Bartleby, I bow to your superior plan.
I think all of us have seen the inside of Hengist's beautiful mini palace. And of all of us, there is one person within our skill set, I think, that is good with the people of the higher class. And it's certainly not me. They remind me too much of my parents. I think
is that in real life or not? Is that in game or
in Bartleby's life?
Oh, I got you.
I think perhaps if you could somehow make your way in with your charm, your courtesy, to protect her, certainly that could reduce some of our risks, having somebody inside.
That's a very good idea. But did not the merchant lady say that the armor is a bit off-putting and maybe it's just wear some finery?
I mean, when Hengist invites us over for dinner, he's not wearing his suit of armor. He's wearing his silks.
Well, over the top of his armor.
And he has that funny codpiece on, which always looks out of place.
I've got Blackadder all over it now. Sorry.
I don't know. It's just a suggestion. Perhaps we could get Hengist inside, and then on the outside, perhaps we could wait for a sign or sleep in. I don't think it's wise to stay up all night tonight, and then protect somebody who may make us upset tomorrow.
In Wills, how close is Hengist's house to the guild house? Sort of like
the guild house is in the middle of town, and your gentry house is up on the hill.
Okay, that's fine then.
From what I can remember about the sleeping bit, where the merchants were, there's only two entrances to it.
That's my understanding as well.
I do have that minor cantrip that I can use, which once I'm all bedded in for the night, I can put it down in front of the doorways, and if there are any unwanted visitors passing the threshold, even if I'm asleep, it will notify me.
Gulliver, can you make it can you make that alarm area the size of like a potato or a rock? Say for example, we each take a turn standing in this area. You set the alarm, and rather than risk a servant or a porter coming out, we could simply step in the alarming area to trigger an alarm, and you could wake.
I normally have to inscribe something on the floor. It's almost like a room, but once I've done it, it disappears so that nobody else can see it. But as soon as somebody steps over it.
As far as I'm aware, there's no indication who had stepped on it. Is that right?
No, it could be anything smaller, anything larger than a rodent.
Yeah, but for example, if you ever want to mess with Gulliver or get him up in the middle of the night, then you could just sort of like stick your foot on it and he will get a tingle.
That's kind of what I'm saying, like a panic button that only we know of where he put it, and it's small out of the way on that landing, where a person guarding for a few hours could hit it to awake Gulliver, to awake the rest of the group to charge on down here while I get the tar beaten out of me.
And I don't know because I haven't got the spells things, but I'm presuming you could put it on a wall.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't actually say. I mean, that's the actual spell.
Alarm can also be used on an individual object. The spell does not determine whether it lasts until trigger. Yeah. So you could put it, I mean, it does say alarm can also be used on an individual object. So I think what that is saying is that if you wanted to protect something from being stolen, you can put it on the object. So as soon as somebody picks it up, Gulliver, you would get the tingle.
Okay.
The Peter tingle.
Sorry,
I had to say that.
I have several things at my disposal to help. One, yes, I can use my sight to look into other areas. Although I can't sustain it for a long time. I have the ability to set an alarm so that if anybody passes the threshold or picks up an object, then I will be notified. And as you also know, I also have the ability to make things secure. So you've seen me do it before on a person. I could also do it on a door. So once they were inside.
I think you've actually have done it on a door before.
Yeah.
Yes, I have. But they did. I don't know whether or not they were aware that I had actually done it.
You probably bragged about it.
Which allows me to, once cast, it prevents the door opening. And my other abilities, which are probably best used for when she's arriving, is my spells of teleportation and summoning. As I say, if I was going to try to kill her, I would wait just until she was coming through that door, about to go through that door, and then maybe drop something from the top of the roof in the hope that it would kill her that way. And it would look like an accident. Not that I would try to kill her.
So you've ascertained that Gulliver has a huge amount of spells that he can actually utilize. Are you any closer to deciding?
I think so.
Would you like me to try to climb to the top of the roof and maybe keep watch out up there? Is that what you're getting at, Gulliver?
No, Haswell, we've seen you trying to climb.
How long can you cause a door to stay held shut, Gulliver?
It gets draining after a while, but
Overnight?
probably. I could probably try to do it for hours, but I would have to concentrate on it.
I'm just saying, I think it might be better that we use that as our plan to keep this building secure and rest ourselves, having charmed Miss Sweetflame and prevented an early assassination, so that we can be very well suited to protect her tomorrow, where, I mean, according to you, Hengist and Hazra, there's plenty of places where ambushes could happen. We need to be at the top of our game tomorrow.
So what you're basically saying is that I'm going to have to protect her and you lot are going to be sleeping?
I can give you the grace of Amriel to keep your energy levels up, but I'm afraid Amriel wouldn't grace the energy to all of us, if you follow what I mean.
I think we shouldn't leave Gulliver alone during the night, so that there should be at least a minimum of one of us there as well, and we can swap shifts at sort of midnight or something like that.
I agree, Hengist. We should never be alone. We should be at least in a pair.
I wonder whether or not there's...
I've just seen what the duration... no, actually... maybe... I can maybe hold it fast for an hour.
I think Gulliver, we don't rely on that because we can't have you being exhausted at all. I think we use that if there is a situation when it's called for, then you can always hold fast the door or secure it with your magic to stop someone getting in or someone getting out if we interrupt anything. I think that would probably be a better use of your skill.
You just tell me when, Hengist, and I'll do it.
Do we actually think that perhaps somebody would have tried to kill her on her first night here?
Well, I think
we never know, do we? It's like
we won't know, so we'd have to expect it at any time.
Just turn up tomorrow. So the plan is...
I think that we should cover this corner, two of us, and then we switch over through the night, perhaps.
During the day, and then when it's the night, I don't think we need to guard the guild house, but we will definitely need to guard the.
Just a side thing. What's this here? Is this just common ground, or?
No, that's just like a gap, and then the houses start again.
So I couldn't pop a tent down there for us to sleeping through the night. No, fair enough.
Well, you wouldn't do in the middle of town in any case.
No.
It's not.
And how about we couldn't sort of rent a room? We can't rent a room in any of these buildings just so we can keep an eye on the place.
But there's shops.
There are shops, but I wonder if we could maybe approach a merchant and maybe if we could approach a merchant, we can say, "Hey, we will give you 1,000 silver pieces to use this room, or 500 silver pieces use this room for one night, please."
That would be completely up to you.
I think the easier method, I agree with Hazra, that's probably the best, most strategic way to do that and make sure that we get the most sleep possible. I say we split up the group like that, and when the people who are off can go to a nearby area. If I don't mean to assume, but if Hengist's house is closest, then perhaps people could sleep there, or if the church is the closest, you guys can use my bunk, and then we switch off through the night so that we conserve our energy as much as we can.
My concern, if you are too far away, if anything happens, you'd have to get from there to here on a message and be here to stop anything from happening.
It's a risk, I agree, but considering I believe there's more risks tomorrow, and I think if we're all here and all tired, things will be worse.
I totally agree, Bartleby, and I totally understand where you're coming from. But I mean, maybe you are thinking too much into this. But if we have somebody, like say, if we can who can talk to a merchant and say, "Hey, can we borrow a room for a night?" At least then you're 20, 30, 40 feet away, rather than 400, 500, 600 meters away. Go metric.
I agree. Perhaps we should, with this plan in place, walk on over there and see if we can't get one of those deals with having our own places as a backup.
Okay, I will need an influence roll. Just to let you know that if the influence roll fails, you will still get the room, but it will be more expensive. And once that's decided upon, so I'm thinking about the sort of like the ballpark, what roughly what it's going to be. So, but if the influence roll is failed, then it will be doubled or tripled or whatever. So just looking at the accommodation table, so the rent is going to be, I mean, it says that a rented villa or mansion a week sleeps a small entourage is 100 silver pieces, cheap 250, and that's for a week. But I think to say to a merchant, we're going to take this over, if just so you know what you're going on, if you're going to include mentioning why, then it'd be a standard roll. If you want to try to hide why it's happened, then that's fine, but it will be a hard roll. Difficulty will be hard.
First things first, I will be nowhere near the negotiations. I think Hengist should go with somebody who else has a bargaining skill. That's out of character, sorry. In fact, I would say that Hengist, if you go because of your outstanding nobility that you are, with maybe Gulliver perhaps, and maybe ask one of these merchants if you can stay in one of their rooms for one night. It will give us a base of operations for here.
About negotiation it's probably good that you're not going.
I'm not going. No, because
look at Hengist and think he's got lots of money and put the price up by 200 silver pieces straight away.
Really? I'm no good in negotiation. I mean, I washed my clothes this morning because I knew we were going somewhere special, so I found the river and I dipped into it. But, I still smell a little bit rabbity, but, you're used to it. You can't smell it.
If this is the plan that you want to go with, then I'll speak to the merchant and see if not we can get a room.
I mean, Hengist, what do you think, my friend? Because I do not want to be standing guard here at the guild house while somebody's sleeping over wherever in the city, and then having to, me, I'm a good fighter, but your prowess are a lot better than mine.
It would make sense to try and be as close as possible, and I think if ideally in this square, but if we can't get in this square, then maybe if there's a tavern nearby, we might be able to rent a room between us there.
So, Gulliver, are you making an influence roll at this point?
It sounds like very much indeedy that I will be making an influence roll.
And is it being augmented with anything?
I'd like to jump in, be the good cop here, even though neither of us are bad cops. And Bartleby would like to try and use his influence in kind of a theme of probably he's noticeably a priest of Amriel, so that might give a positive yield to it.
So you can augment, Gulliver, you can augment your influence roll with Bartleby's.
Which is a, hold
on. Before I roll, group decision, am I saying our true purpose or am I hiding it?
Well,
I
would say that we are security for the guildmistress.
Okay, so I'm telling them why we want to be closer to the...
Okay, so that will be a standard roll. Just to let you know, I've done my roll. My roll is 51 out of 76.
Nice. And I've got plus 10 from
from Bart. 76, that's pretty good, to be honest with you. I will re-roll it.
Okay.
It's also insight.
Oh,
So close.
What was I
It's
rolling?
insight. You
I rolled the wrong one.
I thought you were rolling influence.
I rolled the wrong one.
Influence then.
rewind, not fade away.
Influence. And it's 10%, yeah?
Yeah.
Sorry. I will
Use a point like a reverse it.
re-roll it.
Okay.
Use my luck.
Okay, so you sadly failed, but you still get the room, but you've actually got it for you've agreed on a price of 250 silver coins for one night, and you have to come after the shop has finished. They will sleep upstairs and you can sleep down in the shop. But you also have to remember that you need to be up and out before opening time the next morning. So if you make a note of that and then just
Knock it off. Then.
deduct it off your total amount.
Yeah. Just a quick question. Whether or not we've been in this area before during the night, but do we know what the lighting is like?
The lighting will be like torchlight, lanterns hung up outside, or the shops. So it's going to be be more. It's going to be well lit.
Okay.
You know.
And do we know whether or not the area is patrolled by the City Watch?
The City Watch patrols all this general area in any case, but it's not regular.
Right.
So what I would suggest is that the people who are going to take the night watch perhaps go home, sleep, and then come back at a certain time, and then the people who are going to sleep during the night go into the shop premises and sleep. Or do you think we should all, because we can't sleep in there during the day because they'll be doing the business.
Isn't she coming at 10 bells?
In the morning, yeah.
In the morning.
So we keep an eye out during the day, and then we all go in there, or we take turns to sleep during the night. I thought that's what we were going to do.
Yeah, we take turns to sleep. Yeah. I thought perhaps the night people perhaps may be able to get a little bit of sleep during the day. But no, maybe once she's in there in the main guild hall, the people who are going to the night watch go to the houses and sleep during the day, or to a tavern nearby, and then we come back and use the shop as a nighttime sleep.
Okay, then it sounds that you're well organised and people know. Mainly, the only thing that you need to decide upon is when night time comes, who's sleeping where, and what spells, Gulliver, you're putting up where as well. So if we fast forward to the morning, so would you like to put yourself into position where you want to be when the coach actually arrives in the morning? Are you all going to be before everybody starts to move? Just move back, Bartleby, I think it is. No, because you can't see it, but my tokens are in position already. So here, that is the guy from the bar, and then this is the woman. There are also two porters either side of the a doorway as well, so you can imagine where they are, and people are here to greet her, but also perhaps more importantly to usher her into the. Those are the two porters. So whereabouts would you like?
another question. Are there other people sort of like milling about? You know,
Not in this front area. There's people milling around here, and around here, and around here, but not obviously. You can't come down this top area because it's almost like sealed off because of this ramp.
Okay.
And there's literally people here, but they would only come down here if they are some kind of merchant. And just to let you know, there's now that Bartleby's down here.
My position is
so there's a porter here,
right,
and then there's also a porter here.
Okay.
Keeping an eye on everything.
Okay, so
so you'd like to put yourself where you would like to be.
My position is going to be there, if at all possible. I want to have a spell cast and ready to release. The spell would be teleport if I can, and I want to be keeping an eye up.
Okay.
Up on the roof. So I want to be looking upwards for things falling out, and if there's any windows on this building here, I also want to be keeping an eye out.
Okay, so you're looking at quite a lot of different things. You're looking up at the roof behind you to make sure nothing's the roof of the guild house, making sure over at those windows as well.
Mainly the bit that I'm concerned about is this one here. So as soon as she gets down here, my attention's going to switch to
okay.
Up there.
And Hazra, what are you doing up there at the
I'm
top?
going to be hiding, well, not hiding, but I'll be stood as much in the corner as I can in this secluded, like, sort of shadowy area, and looking this way and this way, watching the rampart here, or the stage area here, as it were. Also watching this here. So I'm looking more, I'm glancing this way, but more concentrating this way.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Hengist, what are you doing?
So Hengist is going to be up on the entranceway. Just remind me, Ross, how high is that again? Is it sort of like
waist height? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So he's going to be standing up there with the two guild people, if he's allowed up there with them, and then he's going to be. So he will be facing the way that the carriage is going to come, and so then he'll just be following her and sort of like rotating.
Okay,
around,
so once
once
you sort of like get up there, because obviously you notice that the two. I'll come to you in a. Bartleby, tell me where you are first.
I'm just staying out of the way, so if she came and walked along, I wouldn't be in the way. I'm looking. Bartleby's perception skill isn't as good as everybody else's, so he's just kind of glancing about, looking for somebody with a crossbow.
Yeah.
But he's more interested in seeing this lady arrive than
Okay then.
being actual.
So the two merchants are very. They've got their wonderful finery on. There's gold glistening everywhere in the sunlight. There's a huge amount of money on these cloth things. And Hengist, you sort of like go up onto the platform, and the woman sort of like looks at you and says, "Sorry."
Yes, I thought this would be a good place to stand to keep an eye on the.
This is where I will be meeting the Guildmistress. Do you wish to stand next to me?
Oh, yeah, this is a good position for me to stand. If you'd prefer for me to move further down, then I'm more than happy to. But I just wanted to make sure that I was near to the Guildmistress at all times.
What armaments have you got on and ready?
So Hengist is wearing his full armor, which is
a more shield and sword.
So sword is sheathed, and his shield is slung on his back for the moment.
Okay, she sort of like looks at you as if to say, just make an influence roll for me. She sort of like looks at you and says, well, just stay out the way. Just stay out the way. And she sort of like almost like steps in front of you. So it's obvious that the Guildmistress is greeting her.
Yeah,
and,
that's fine.
and you're just sort of like there. So there seems to be this moment of excitement and tension. It's obvious there's porters running everywhere and keep bringing information, and you start to hear Hengist, because you're next to the woman that she's approaching. She's coming. She an out of breath porter says she's here. And as that happens, then this splendid coach comes down and sort of like comes right down and parks itself just here, and the two porters rush out and hold the reins, and a footman on the back of the carriage comes out and puts a little box down, and then they open the door, and this rather middle-aged she looks in shape. She's not portly or anything like that. She almost like looks as if she's had Botox or something like that. She's obviously trying to look a lot younger than what she actually is. And you notice that some of the you notice that as she walks, her dress, her skirt has splits up the side. You know, so she flashes a bit of leg as she walks, and she's got a sort of like a square cut blouse that's showing ample cleavage, but then regaled with jewellery, etc. And all her hair is piled up, and she has various pins and everything. And she seems to be wearing white, but she has like a hooded travel cloak that is almost like a deep blue colour, and it looks thick enough to keep her warm, but the hood is down. It seems to be braided, bordered by gold braid, and you notice that as she moves, she moves with a sense of elegance and confidence. I'm just going to use Ica as the character, and she sort of like steps out of the carriage and sort of like walks round, and you notice that there's two sort of like porters with her, and they seem to be carrying her bags, and she sort of like gets up, and you notice that these people are almost like doing a curtsy and bowing their heads. And the woman comes up and says to the female guild merchant, she says, oh, as she sort of like leans back and sees Hengist stood there. She says, really, this is not a place to bring your husband. This is guild matter. And the woman sort of goes, and then sort of I said, oh yeah, I am so sorry. I will learn from that. And she says, oh yes, you really need to have a little bit better taste, I think. I mean, look at him. He looks like a tin of sardines there. And you notice that the merchant Gulliver in front of you sort of like tries to stifle a snigger. It's sort of, you know, as she mentions that Hengist is like a tin of sardines. And then people round about hear a sound, not just one. You hear, and all of a sudden, from somewhere high up on the roofs, almost like raining down from the sky, you suddenly see all these almost like darts, and people who are around, you actually see several of them sort of like land in wood, you notice that
Can I release my spell as soon as that happens?
you can try to cast it. Yes.
So my spell is teleport, and I would have wanted to target the Guildmistress as soon as she got out the carriage. So as soon as anything was falling or anything like that, I would want to try to move her.
Right. These are not falling.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on then. Well, I didn't realise you.
Toward.
I didn't realise you were following right from the carriage. So yeah, roll your invocation skill, won't it be? Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So your spell goes off. What are you planning on doing?
So the spell effect would be to move her.
What? Yeah.
Sort of like down.
Can you pop the description in, because I need a resist, won't I?
Yes, you would. I'll just do this. So
evade,
it's
yeah.
Evaded.
Yeah, so she all of a sudden, you sort of like, all these things fly down, and as you see them, because you won't actually see them until they're coming into your line of sight, you release your spell and try to pull the Guildmistress off somewhere. Whereabouts would you like to pull her?
Just maybe somewhere down here.
Okay then, so you sort of like, as these darts sort of like start to rain down, and you sort of like pull her out the way, and you're pulling her as the things sort of like fire down onto the general area. So I just need to do some rolls before anything happens.
Rolls would as soon as Hengist would have seen the darts, if he does, he would have liked to have started to move forward to try and put himself in between the darts and.
Yeah, I don't think you. I think
that's only if he has time to react.
Yeah, I think it's more. This is happening milliseconds, rather than anything else, and it's sort of like all flies down. And the other thing is, there's not just sort of like one dart.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so the first thing that you notice is that Gulliver, by some miraculous means, tries to teleport this person out down to there. These darts fly down into the area, and the first thing that happens, Hengist, you're actually hit by a few of them, but they don't seem to penetrate your armor. They seem to sort of like clatter off them. Unfortunately, the other four people on the top there are not so lucky, and you notice that each one of them takes one or two darts into them as they sort of like fly down in this sort of like this blizzard of torrential darts sort of like flying down. And you notice that all the four people up at the top, minus the Guildmistress that Gulliver managed to teleport to one side, just crumble to the ground. And that is where we will leave it for this week, since it's 6 minutes past 10. So thank you very much for tonight's adventure. I hope you enjoyed it, players. I know I have, and thank you for coming along and watching on the stream. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you would like to see what happens next time, we will pick up the session directly from this point. So do come back and have a watch. Does anybody in the team have any announcements or anything to make?
I do not.
Nope.
No.
Not at
No.
this time.
Okay then, so I will be streaming again tomorrow at 2 o'clock when I'll be doing some more Elder Scrolls Online. And don't forget that next Thursday we will be playing Mythras again. We're playing a module called White Death with agents from the 1980s. The party are currently investigating a deserted research station on an ice floe which is slowly melting away. Okay then, so until then, have a wonderful week, and we will be back next Saturday. Thanks for coming along, and I hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. Okay, see you later, everybody. See ya. Bye.
Bye.